In Empire Strikes Back, Leia watched as her lover Han was frozen in carbonite, but think about this, if Leia was the one placed in the chamber instead, wouldn't Boba have no use for her, meaning perhaps she would go directly to the Emperor? In this fanfiction, which surprisingly has never been covered before, let's find out how Han would attempt to save her from the Death Star and Vader's Sith spree of fury after finding out his daughter is frozen in a metal block under his master's throne. And you'll be excited to see what Luke does in this one too. Also, I've made sure to create a playlist of all other Carbonite scene alternate scenarios to watch after this one when you're done. Smoke rises from the Tabana gas-filled room as Vader and his prisoners walk up to the chamber. However, expecting to be tossed into the pit without delay, Han is surprised when he hears Boba Fett to his right holster up his blaster, and then a stun blast sends Han flying over the floor before Vader force pulls Leia to him and has the rest surrounded by stormtroopers.
There's been a slight change in arrangements. The Emperor says he would rather have Skywalker frozen with the Princess of Alderaan as a test.
And that means Solo is with me. Leia is then walked over and put in handcuffs before the floor begins to descend as she is lowered into the freezing compartment. With tears in her eyes, she looks up to Han, lying on the ground above.
I love you.
His words, however, are cut off after a second stun blast from Boba hits Han on the cold, dark floor. Leia tries to think of some way to change the situation, to gain control, but it is no use as white steam encloses her in a tomb of carbonite. After checking the vitals, Lando confirms her to be stable, stopping a moment to take in her once beautiful but now horrified face. Vader lifts up the block with the Force, and accompanied by troopers as well as the bounty hunter, takes the block over to the Imperial shuttle on the other side of the city.
Bring my shuttle.
Then after Leia is walked into the ship up the ramp, Vader stands there guarding the entrance. As he sees Luke's X-Wing descend onto a platform beyond his view, he decides he'll let the princess be taken away immediately, and after giving the order to the pilot on board to depart via a built-in comm link in his suit, Vader ignites his red lightsaber and begins to walk forward. Slowly but surely, off to the side, he also sees the sight of the Slave One taking off. In said ship, Boba is currently manning the controls while two stormtroopers watch over Han in the back room. Boba had allowed them to ride along only on orders of the Sith himself. Besides, he has plans to open the emergency door, ejecting them into the cold, dark air at some point along the transit, so it's all good. Han would wake up abruptly before seeing troopers to his left and right. For a moment, he slouches back over to accept his fate until he remembers what Vader had said.
The Emperor says he would rather have Skywalker frozen with the Princess of Alderaan as a test.
He then realizes what he must do and punches the two bucket heads with well-experienced precision. One flips over to the wall below, hitting his head on the side, which breaks his skull, until the other man gets back up and Han is forced to shoot him with their very own E-11. Han sneaks up to the cockpit where his longtime enemy Boba sits. He shoots the hunter in the back of the head, but due to the whole Beskar armor thing, Boba simply rolls over and fires back at Han. However, the smuggler is determined and dodges the blast before kicking Fett into the room he was unconscious in. Then he presses the same button Boba planned to use on the stormtroopers earlier, causing Boba Fett to fly out of the airlock into the upper atmosphere of Bespin, never to rizz up a Twi'lek slave girl again. Han then climbs up into the cockpit area to man the controls, and seeing an Imperial shuttle zooming past, he tracks it with Boba's special Imperial clearance codes, similar to what we see in Return of the Jedi with them over Endor, and then following the vessel to its destination, which just so happens to be the second Death Star. Back on Bespin, Vader marches down the clean Cloud City corridor, making his way through a secret turbo lift onto the catwalk above the orange and blue carbonite chamber, where he finds his son standing there ready to fight. You don't scare me.
Your bravery is rare but unimportant. Surely you must understand this is all connected, Luke.
Other than my revenge for you killing Ben, I don't see much to it.
Good. Your time with Obi-Wan was clearly cut short, as these are the words of no Jedi.
You'll find I'm full of surprises.
He then fiends to one side before crashing his blade into Vader's chest panel, which makes the Dark Lord wheeze. Then Darth Vader kicks Luke into the freezing chamber below.
All too easy.
But at the last second, as the compartment fills up with Tabana, Luke force pulls Vader down to him and then leaps up at impossible speeds. With no time to react, Vader is frozen in carbonite so that only his faceplate and the front side of him are left jutting out of the block. Luke mans the controls, which bring down the retrieval tongs onto Vader, which grabs the carbonite and then drops him onto the floor vertically. Luke walks up to the frozen cyborg, smiling to himself and amazed by how much Yoda's teachings have helped him, but he feels something is off. Before he knows it, cracks start to cripple the outer layer of the carbonite, allowing rays of light to seep through before the whole thing explodes, flinging Luke into a wall. Vader lands out of it with Tabana gas billowing off of his shoulders. He then lifts Luke up and throws him against the nearby carbon freezing chamber hood and manages to pin him to the wall by attaching pieces of the disassembled frozen Tabana gas to his arms and torso. Luke struggles for a few moments, but can't do much without a force as powerful as the dark side. Vader pushes the carbonite into the wall far enough to the point where it's actually crushing Luke. What do you want?
I want nothing but you. You want the truth. I can feel it. Luke, Obi-Wan never really told you the truth. I am your father.
No, that can't be true.
That vision you saw in the cave, it has meaning, yes?
How do you know about that?
The dark side, my son. The dark side is a powerful tool, and yet I sense it through your feelings now that the man Anakin Skywalker had not one, but two children, a set of twins. You feel a connection to this princess, this sister.
At that moment, Vader's internal comlink system goes off with a distress code coming directly from Palpatine's spire on the second Death Star, a battle station which will soon be fully operational despite its unfinished state.
I will be back to finish your training, my son.
I'll never join you.
Your destiny by my side speaks differently.
Meanwhile, at Hangar 272, which just so happens to be the hangar we see at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, on the Death Star, a unscheduled visit from the bounty hunter ship Slave 1 lands in the bay. Crew of stormtroopers rush out to confront the unwelcomed guest as the first inspection garrison marches up to test the door. 5 more march into formation behind. They sit there in anticipation, waiting for Vader's personal bounty hunter, at this point that being Boba Fett. But however, to their horror, a seismic charge springs from the cannon of the ship, hitting the opposing wall and sucking the majority of the stormtroopers into its vacuum before jutting out bits of their armor across the hangar. While the remaining troopers are distracted, Han Solo opens the ramp, crushing 2 scout troopers, and then marches out wearing green Mandalorian armor. This Durasteel Beskar mix takes the bulk of the hits, while Han, dual-wielding his signature DL-44 and Boba's EE-3 carbine, guns down the remaining troopers. And before you say, wait, that's a plot hole because Boba was ejected out of the ship earlier, well, let's just say that this is one of the spare suits he keeps on him at all times, except for now, of course, because at the moment, Boba really doesn't got too much on whatsoever. Han, wearing Boba's armor, sneaks through defenses of the station, claiming himself to be on special orders of Vader whenever coming to trouble. Then he makes his way up to the throne room of Palpatine, with his elevator moving up as the elevator of the team who just delivered Leia to the Emperor moves back down. Han walks out through the open door, removes his helmet for better visibility, and then, whereas in an alternate universe it would be Han frozen in a block of carbonite before Jabba's throne, here Leia is attached on the wall facing Palpatine's seat from afar. Han slowly edges his way forward, listening to the air conditioning throughout the room, which gives it a very cold and terrifying feeling, and Han is about to leap down from the catwalk to rescue Leia when he hears Palpatine's cackling. He then would see the elderly man walk towards Leia as he out loud schemes about his plans to bring Luke and Vader there, kill their family member Leia, and then make them both fight each other while filled with Sith rage, proving which apprentice is truly worthy to follow the footsteps of Darth Sidious. Once the Emperor sits back down again, reveling in his genius, Han sneaks below, amongst one of the spaces the Emperor's gaze cannot pierce, and as he starts to make his way up one of the staircases, Han looks back down to click his blaster into its firing setting, but sees something there instead. The blade of a red lightsaber sticking through his stomach. Han falls over, gasping for the last little bit of air left in his lungs before he sees the tall Sith Lord shadow standing above him. Vader moves his hand back to strike Han again, but Han stops him by grabbing his cape. "You have to stop him. He's going to kill Leia. He's going to kill your daughter."
He will try.
Below, then he discards Han's hand, which makes the smuggler fall into the darkness below, before Vader walks up to his master's throne, but the Emperor is no longer seated there, and continuing to laugh, he, from his stance on the floor below, fires Force lightning into the block of Carbonite holding Leia, which erupts it in flames, and then causes her to explode, sending sparks everywhere. Vader leaps down to the floor below, clearing the stairs entirely, and then walks towards Sidious with power in every single step.
That was a grave mistake, my master.
Your power has never even gotten close to matching mine since that day you lost to your old master, Kenobi.
Then he angles his bolts at Vader, who takes the sheer bulk of them with his suit, but this time Vader has nothing left to hold back, as he finally has a chance to take his revenge on Palpatine after all these years by training his own daughter and or son, but then the Emperor has taken that away as well, and with nothing to hold back, he throws his lightsaber through the air to Sidious. As it makes its arc, the blade spins around, deflecting the lightning from hitting Vader, before it finishes its course, traveling through the Emperor's hands, which fall to the ground, severed. Then, Vader force pulls Palpatine to his hand, choking the flailing man in the air, whilst Force lightning still sparks out here and there from the Emperor's sheer presence. Vader looks Palpatine in the eye, bringing him in closer, before headbutting him in the face with his sturdy mask, once, then twice, before grabbing the Emperor's scalp with his other hand and peeling the head back, breaking his neck. Then, after discarding the filth of the Emperor, which is his now deceased master, onto the floor below, Vader moves towards the turbo lift door with one thing on his mind. It is time for him and Luke to rule the galaxy as father and son. So let me know if you enjoyed that what if. It has been a long time ago since I've made one of these. I think the last time I really made one was in September, because while there was the What If Mace Windu Survived, that was such a collaborative effort with Shad, and it was really all his project. I just helped a little bit here and there with that one. That was sort of an interactive one, so I kind of wanted to do more interactive what ifs, but let me know if you want to see more what ifs. I think y'all really enjoy them for the most part. But anyway, that's it for this what if. You can subscribe if you want to. There is also a join button, which I would love if you would press, and also buy the merch, which is dropping this week if it's not already when this video has come out. But yeah, see ya.